Wrestling Travel. I'm Brittani Nikole, and I am here with my guest, your savior, the David Ali. Ali, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for getting my moniker right. Like, I've been called the prophet. I've been called that savior. I've been called all kinds of stuff. But as long as somebody gets savior right, that's fine. That's cool.
Yeah, it's one of those things of I've announced you, so it's in my wrestle decks of like remembering that you are your savior. You're our savior, in that kind of way. So I'm happy that I remembered that too, because when I was writing down everything, I was like, no, no, no. I even crossed out, I had the savior, and I was like, no, wrong, your savior.
I appreciate that. That's professionalism. Whoever's looking at this should write that down. Like, that's professionalism.
Thanks. I do what I can. See, Wrestling Travel Universe. I'm professional. Well, speaking of that, speaking of being our savior. Why? How did this come into being? Because the first time I met you, you were not our savior, and you have blossomed into this amazing work that you're doing. And how did this transition?
Man, without giving like too much away about the insides and the outsides of the business that we're involved in, one of the main things to delivering a character that people can get behind or a persona to get behind is in a version that's you that's exaggerated. And for the longest time here in Georgia, I felt like I've been kept down to a certain degree because other people are more important or more valued because based upon what the promoter or the booker may value versus what the fans value. And I've only been wrestling for 4 years, and in that time I've seen it change from the most popular thing in the world to do is flips to the most popular thing to do in the world is be brutal and so forth and so on. And now it's characterization. Now it's character work. And if you don't have that, people can't really connect with you. So when you first met me, I was the Street Fighter David Ali. And that's something I still kind of, I wouldn't consider dropped. I would say I just built upon that. Because as a Street Fighter, I would go, as I famously try to get famous anyway, I would go from night to fight, and it just didn't work for some people. A lot of people didn't like that for some reason. They either thought that it was either amazingly generic, or they had seen it before, or they really didn't know what to do with that type of character. And I was fortunate enough to be able to work with Todd Sexton here in Georgia at Southern Fried Championship Wrestling, and Dylan Freimer, who's the booker for Southern Honor Wrestling. And through those two mediums, I was able to pretty much find that missing link. And that missing link was basically saying how I felt and delivering it in a way that people can relate. So my end goal is to help the future be promoted. Because a lot of times when you go to these wrestling shows, you see guys who've been wrestling for like a million years and they're still like in the top spot going for a championship. And you're like, what? I just saw like a 23-year-old guy who's jacked from here to high heaven, and he just lost to an old fuck. Excuse my language.
Oh, you're fine.
My French anyway. But he just lost to an old guy, and I'm supposed to believe that this is real. And what people don't really realize is that wrestling is more real than it is anything else. And so are the feelings that go into it, the emotions, the drive, and like how much you put into it. And for it to get overlooked just because of tenure or because of how a booker or promoter feels in their heart of hearts what they want to see versus what the fans want to see. So the savior is here to save wrestling's future.
That's amazing. I mean, and you hit the nail on the head. I love seeing the vets and stuff help push the newer talent, but there's some vets out there that still want to get over, brother. That kind of thing. And so, if it doesn't help the talent and for the future, what exactly are you doing for the business? So, I mean, that kind of thing is, I commend you on that, helping, not only yourself but others be pushed forward in all of that. And you also, if you work for a company, I know you, if you work for a company, you push them to high heaven, and I think that's something also some wrestlers lack. And I see your titles back there, and and yeah, right. And I see your titles back there, and it's one of those things of you promote, all of the titles and the shows that you work for. What have been some of your most favorite shows to work on?
So this is not because I'm talking to you right now. But I can honestly say, throughout the journey of transforming from the Street Fighter into the Savior, realizing, and I know it's a fine line between character and who you are, but it's definitely like who I am.
Right.
I I feel the need that somebody needs to say these things, somebody needs to do these things, somebody needs to act accordingly, and so I do so. And the last half of 2019, before shit hit the fan, um, was like some of the best wrestling experiences that I've had so far, and I can't go without mentioning Elevate, the what was it rise of the what was the show called?
Oh, From the Ashes.
From the Ashes.
Yeah.
That show, wow. So that show was like one of my, it's got to be top 5, top 3
Oh,
even.
thank
Yeah,
you.
that it was just amazing. Like the setup, not even just my match, but just the whole like setup of the venue and like the people that were there, the hunger, the drive, and just the story that Ray and I got to tell was, it was phenomenal. And
People are
I
still
could
talking
relate
about
to.
it.
Say what?
People are still talking about it.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about it because I was there, and it was a 2 out of 3 falls match. So we went
Mhm.
3 rounds, and
Yeah.
I'm there for like pretty much 30 minutes of wrestling, and like I hear people and I hear like reactions and stuff like that. But then I watched the tape, and the first tape that I saw wasn't a professional tape or anything. It was a phone that Ray. I'm killing all kinds of kayfabe.
Oh,
It was
you're
a
fine.
it was a phone that Ray set up so high at the very top behind glass, and you could
Mhm.
hear the reactions from everybody, whether it was me losing or me winning, the boos, the yays, and that that is what wrestling is about. That's the whole entire reason why I even dreamt of doing this as a child. And I can't not mention Trisha Dora at, let me get this right, the
Right.
Pan African World Diaspora Championship tournament
Yes.
in Washington, D.C. Fighting Trisha Dora, that crowd was, wow. Like, I was at that point where I was seriously considering what it was I was doing in wrestling. Like, I'm on a bus and I'm traveling all this way to Washington by myself with like barely any money in my pocket just to wrestle a match and then go back home. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm not getting anything from this. This isn't. I'm tired. I'm broke down. I'm hungry. I'm this. It isn't supporting me. And then I wrestled Trisha Dora, and those fans that didn't know me from Adam at all, they embrace the whole entire F word out of us, and it's just it's like a drug.
Yeah.
It's like a drug. So those are the two, and I can't not mention Southern Honor because they have given me TV quality of work to work with, and Southern Fried have given me. Southern Fried is actually like the first place to be like, you know what? Here's the ball, run with it. And you always say like, I want to be in the top spot, or I want to be in the main event. Everybody wants to be in the main event, but you never really know if you're ready until like somebody gives you the ball. And they had faith in me, which allowed me to have faith in myself. And that's just something I can't ever be ungrateful for.
I mean, exactly. That's awesome. Yeah, you're right. It is a drug, and you almost have like an out of body experience sometimes when the crowd is cheering or booing that much and is working with you. It's something that nothing else in the world can recreate in the wrestling business, like that moment when all that happens. And I'm glad that you didn't quit and didn't give up, and you're still going strong in all of this. And you mentioned Southern Honor, and I know that they've given you TV, and I know that you've worked on AEW as an extra a couple of times. And working on that, how has that been something that's helped you progress, learning about the TV tapings and all that kind of process?
Um, this is gonna sound real marky, but I kind of don't care.
We're all
There's,
marks, or we wouldn't be in this business. It's fine.
thank you. Oh my God, thank you, God. Um, but I don't know if you've seen the CM Punk DVD. The only one WWE made about him.
Yeah.
But in it, he talks about like learning. How did he phrase it? Learning how to time out the camera for TV, and those kind of things. Working with AEW, I've learned a lot from, especially Southern Honor, because there is the hard cam, and there are the roaming cams, and you're taught, if you have a great trainer or a good trainer, you're taught to like do certain things in those directions without giving too much away.
Right.
Um, and those two shows, who are like slightly related, have given me experience that I think once I do make it to TV will benefit me a hell of a lot. And I I'm super grateful for that. And it's been a learning experience, and there's been like ups and downs about it, but like in the end, I've taken learning direction, how to cut things, and I've applied it to my promos that I try to put out.
Yes, your promos are, I mean, if anybody hasn't watched your YouTube channel, we'll put the links in for your YouTube channel because the promos that you did, I mean, the promo you did for Elevate, and I mean, all the promos you do for wherever you work and whoever you're working, they're they're like a little movie. They're like a mini movie. It's so great to see. And why did you start doing that? Why did you start seeing that this is something that could help you get over and help you build yourself up?
I've I've always looked at wrestling as a movie. A lot of people who don't give wrestling a chance, who just like flip it on and see guys like doing stuff to each other, they're like, oh, that's fake. But the the highest grossing movie of all time is Avengers Endgame. And that's a movie where the main protagonist has been alive for like 90 years. There's also a guy who's been hit by gamma rays who can turn into a giant green monster. There's time travel. There's aliens. But yet almost everybody in the world went to go see this movie. I went and saw it 3 times. I'm not saying it's my favorite movie of all time right now. Um, but everybody went and saw this movie 10 times over. They made a hell of a lot of pops,
Yeah,
merchandise. It sold a bunch of money. It put Disney in the black for like ever. And it's fake. And that's really fake. It's
right.
actually and I look at wrestling as a show, as a movie, because why can't it be? If Lucha Underground taught us anything, it can be definitely on that level.
Yes.
It's just somebody has to want to take it there. Somebody has to want to take it from the usual, hey brother, my name is blah 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 blah, and turn it into something that people want to go. I want to see more of that because I haven't seen it before. And even though it's difficult for me to do that sometimes, because I'm inspired by a lot of different things, a lot of different elements and mediums that are out there. Um, I think that wrestling has always kind of been like, especially the matches themselves, the story within the matches have always kind of been mini movies. Like when you turn on Raw, everybody everybody had like a specific storyline. Like one match would predict a storyline that's been told over months. The next match would be another storyline told over months. So they're mini. It's almost like It's almost like those Grindhouse movies. A
Yeah.
bunch of movies compiled into one, and it's all in the person's hands to control like what that looks like. And I choose to make it look like it's been slowly turning into some creepy shit.
Yeah. I mean, you started this new project. There's 3 episodes so far. It's
Yeah.
called the Exodus Project. What I love it. I love seeing it, and you have some great people in it. And I mean, obviously during quarantine, you had the time on your hands, but it still takes a lot of work to do those kind of things. And what can you explain to people who haven't seen it what and why the Exodus Project exists?
Okay, so the Exodus Project is pretty much, to me, is pretty much what all of us as wrestlers are pretty much going through. Um, Literally, one day we're planning trips, we're planning matches, we're planning storylines, and the next day it's over. And there's no telling when it's going to come back. So the Exodus Project is a look inside a wrestler who doesn't know what to do with himself once wrestling's been taken away from him. I said previously that my goal as a savior was to usher in a new world where the future is what's being touted, and the card, like the changing of the guard happens. And right before quarantine happened, one of the last things I said as a savior was, if you don't appreciate the future, it will be taken away from you. And that's basically what happened. Like, wrestling was taken away. So now that I've done all that, now that I've said all that, I've put myself out into the world for people to see, and now I can't do anything with it. What do I do? Do I move on? Do I try to just be myself? Do I try to do new projects? Do I go back to school? Do I get new jobs? Do I even continue wrestling if and when it does come back?
Right.
And it's basically the inner look between me and what some would call my persona. I don't like to call him that. I don't like
It's
to call
just you. You know, I feel like it's not a persona. I feel like it's just it's an extra part of you, you know?
He's, if anybody watches Dexter, they'll understand this reference, but he's my dark passenger. He's my, if anybody's ever been like schizophrenic or had multiple personalities or anything like that, the savior is the guy that protects me.
Right.
I was down and out. I didn't know what to do with myself, and he came and he saved me. And like, that's how this happened, and that's how I met you. I've not met you, but that's how Elevate, the last
Yeah.
Elevate that we're at, happened.
Yeah.
And everything positive after that. I won here in Georgia. I was voted most improved wrestler of the year in the
That's
state.
amazing.
I it's really hard to like talk about accomplishments and like sound humble when
Yeah.
you feel like you're trying to be humble, but I guess you have to acknowledge it to be able to move forward, to see like you can do better now that you've done good.
You don't
And
have to be humble. It's okay.
I'm the shit. No,
Right? I'm just going to take that clip. We're not going to do any of this rest of this interview. I'm literally just going to cut that section, and that's going to be the entire interview. I'm just going to be like, and now a word from David Ali, and it's just going to be like, I'm the shit. That's it. It's done.
and I will never get booked again, ever.
Or your bookings might go up. It's like a 50-50.
They might be like, "Oh, we want you to do that every time you come out." I'm the shit. I'm the shit. Is this a kid show? We'll bleep it out. It's okay.
It's fine.
I do want to say though, there's only been 3 episodes of the Exodus Project out right now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely more on the way. This is gonna start out. I originally imagined this as like a 6-chapter story,
Uh-huh.
but
It's grown.
Yeah, it's grown. I've received some love from some other wrestlers who are like, man, if I didn't know you were doing this, I would have came out. And I'm like, well, do you wanna? Like, I'll
Right.
pay I'll give you some like gas money, and I've got some volunteers, and I've gotten acceptance on gas money. So this is probably gonna be maybe like 10 episodes.
Wow.
And the next 3 that are coming out, and I guess it might be 12 because I think I'm gonna do it in 3, just so I can edit correctly and stuff like that. But
Right.
the next 3 that's gonna come out uh, are gonna be pretty. It's gonna get deeper. It's gonna get deeper. So I don't
Oh.
want to, man. I don't want to make it sound like it's gonna be super awesome, and then people are like, "What?"
Well, no, it's I think it sounds awesome. If anybody hasn't watched the first 3 so far, I suggest they do. Like I said, it's like binge watching. Like I watched all 3 of them together. It's like a great little binge watching thing. I mean, no one else is doing anything right now. Let's just watch this. Like it's way more entertaining than watching, I don't know, rewatching The Office or something like that, whatever people are doing during quarantine. But
Right.
I mean, I'm excited. I mean, and that's a lot of work. You do all the editing and everything as well?
All on my iPhone.
Whoa. Okay. Well, that's a plug for iPhones. Maybe you can get Apple to sponsor you.
There's that. There's that. Or like
You
get some
hear,
equipment, like some mics or something.
right, you hear that, Apple? I mean, he's creating all of this magic on your iPhone. Let's hook him up. I don't know. I'm talking to the ether because I don't know if Apple watches this. I don't know who Apple is, but they might watch this. Who knows?
Russell talk.
Yeah, I mean, I really just want to see more of this Exodus project, and I want to see more work from you. What is in the future besides the Exodus project? Do you have any plans? I know everything is tentative still at the moment, but do you have any kind of future looks that you can give us? Any little tidbits?
As far as the future is concerned, that's really something that's up in the air. Everybody has something that they want to accomplish in the future. Everybody has something that they feel like they are going to accomplish in the future. But I personally think that if I'm gonna be in control, which is what I like to do, is be in control, I can only worry about the things that are happening currently, the things that I can control.
Right.
And that's what has been keeping me sane throughout this whole ordeal. And so looking to the future can be stressful, it could be optimistic, but as for right now, I'm gonna let the future play itself out. It's done thinking like that has done wonders for me so far. The only thing I can do is just trust myself and my intuition,
Yes.
and just because we're indie wrestlers are kind of lucky in a sense that they're not on TV right now because they can do whatever they want to do basically as far as their gimmicks, as far as their characters, as far as what they how they want themselves to be perceived can go. Um, just because we're not held down by like contracts or stipulations or
Right.
or like partners who like want to see something. Um, I think right now, just worrying about right now is going to be the only thing I do. I don't know if that makes any sense or
No,
not.
it does. And I mean, I think that's a perfect mindset to to do anything, any kind of career, any kind of life that you live. I think that's a perfect mindset is just to do in the now, especially in this kind of day and age that we have at the moment. I want to talk to you about women's wrestling. What are your thoughts about it now coming up? I mean, you've wrestled women, you've wrestled men. What is your take on the amazing process of women's wrestling?
Man, women's wrestling is just that. It's an amazing process that's happening. It's still, for some reason, it's what is this? This is 2020, and it's
Yeah.
still underrated, like so hard, and undervalued, and just like it's under promoted, and like people are wrongly promoting it,
Mhm.
and it's a shame. I personally love intergender matches because I get to be the one to be like, oh, she wants to hit me here, let her do it. Fuck, like she can do it. Like it boggles my mind when, especially like older wrestlers who are like, oh man, I'm old school, say that a woman couldn't stand up to a guy. When one of the promos I put out, I'm talking to Lindsay Snow as the savior, and she slaps the piss out of me. And there's like 3 cuts of it, and so she slapped the piss out of me like 3 times. And each time I cried. I'm not even gonna lie. I cried every time. I was like, oh my god. And I would consider myself tough. I've been beat up by some of like the heaviest dudes, the hardest guys, and been through some stupid matches. And women, like to say a woman couldn't stand up to a guy or couldn't fight a guy is grossly irresponsible for any promoter, any booker, any wrestler, any person to think. Because I mean, look at Ronda Rousey. You know, look at just just look at how far women have come in general. You know,
Yeah.
um, and if and this is like to old wrestlers who are like, oh, women can't hit me, women can't fight. The next step from Vince McMahon is Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody loves NXT, right? Everybody's got like a big heart on for it. Everybody
Yeah.
loves like the staple. That's like that's the litmus test right now. It's not
Yeah.
WWE, it's not SmackDown, it's NXT. That's
Mm-hmm.
what everybody wants. That's what everybody's hungry for. And he's the one that created that. So if that man can stand in a corner and get the shit beat out of him by Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania on that stage, then
Mm-hmm.
why in the blue hell is it so hard for anybody to put a female over if she's earned it? I've been on the road with a lot of these women who, and I don't hang out with female wrestlers who aren't great. You can if you want to, but
No, I'm not going to. I think that's great.
I I know some of like the best, most hungry, dedicated wrestlers out there who are women, and they don't deserve to get treated like that or even thought of like that. Like they bust their ass harder than men do sometimes just to even get recognition. Like I said, your Lindsay Snows, your Danny Jordans, your like there's a ton of talent at WSU who are there, who can wrestle and are just in these matches with girls who can't. And it's not just WSU; it's all over the place. Like there's
Yeah.
these girls who are just kept in this box, this glass ceiling, and aren't allowed to do anything. Which is the reason why I guess like when Tessa Blanchard wins, everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's awesome!" And it is
Mm-hmm.
awesome because somebody decided, you know what? It's time for a change. Who
Right.
was it that said that?
Exactly.
It was Owen Hart.
Yeah.
Enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
Yes.
Like and I guess the reason why like I feel so like I've always felt this hard about it, but I guess the reason why I do now is Lufisto released a video not too long ago about the treatment of the women for ZZW, and she's
Mm-hmm.
always been like somebody that I've looked up to as a wrestler, and she's a female,
Yeah.
and she can go just as hard as any of the guys. And
Oh, very
if
much
anybody's
so.
been watching wrestling for 20 years, like indie wrestling or anything like that, they know that about her.
Mm-hmm.
And it really it's a gross it's just gross. That's like the only word that I can think
Yeah.
of. It's terrible, and it's 2020,
Yep.
you know, and I just wish women would be valued more in the wrestling business.
It is. It's strange. And as a woman in Louisiana wrestling business, like I'm the only female to ever own a promotion in Louisiana ever. Like there's never been another, and that's strange. Like that's so insane. It's 2020 and I'm the first female promoter ever in the state of Louisiana, like entire Louisiana.
And
Like,
that's part of the reason why I went so hard for me coming back to Elevate, because once he told me that, I was like, fuck yeah, what the fuck? Like, because not only are you like, because like I know you, I don't know you like super personally, but like not only are you like a cool, just generous, giving person, you and Ben, but like it's just so cool to see somebody who's like that, who gives a shit about wrestling, and who's not in it just to make a buck, but to like
Yeah.
to do something. And that's what a lot of promotions, a lot of promoters, a lot of bookers, that's what they're missing. It's the reason why like indie wrestling is kind of like,
Mhm.
doing that kind of thing. It's because nobody wants to break out and do anything different. Nobody wants to change the status quo. And that's almost like what wrestling is about, is changing the status quo.
Right.
Time.
Yeah.
It's
Mix it
supposed to
up.
be a place like that.
Well, I mean, everything that you've said and talked about, is there anything else that you want to add? Any little tidbits now that we're coming to a close? Is there anything you wanna put out there?
I mean, I wish I could plug everybody in the world. um,
We'll bring you back on just for specifically that. Like we won't interview you. You'll just come on and you'll just like hype up everybody.
oh, don't tell me that, because I can make I can make a video of like I can make a funny video just plugging everybody, like we're in their shirts or something like that. Wait, hold on. Even I think, what do I have? I got some people's shirts here. I've got this whole stack of wrestling shirts.
Here we go.
um, so I'm currently trained by QT Marshall. I'm
Yeah.
training with him. I was trained originally by AR Fox, and uh, one of the things that he does that I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, was that everywhere he goes, he collects like a T-shirt, either from like a wrestler, from the experience he's had, or like the promotion was really good. Um, so here's one. This is Trish
Oh,
Adora.
yeah.
There she is. Um, oh, this is a promotion that's like up and coming in Valdosta, Georgia.
Uh-huh.
There's Spinebuster. Yep, there's them. They're
Shout
pretty
out to
okay.
Spinebuster.
That's where I'm the Titan champion at, right there.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I like that your name is plastered all over it.
One of my biggest rivals, who I hate but love at the same time for some reason, Alan Angels, who's been on
Oh,
AEW.
hey
There's
boy.
him. One of my really good friends, who I would consider like a little brother, remarkable Ryan Rembrandt, who's just on AEW Dark.
Yes.
Um, let's see. This one's one of my favorites right here. Ashton Starr.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
God, I
And
love that one.
I had some Danny Jordan shirts, but
She gonna be real mad.
oh man, funny story. So one of her first shirts that she ever had, we were in like a tag team or something. We were coming out together, and I had just got through like being like an asshole heel for like a whole like 2 years or whatever, and like I never lost for some reason or another, and so we're like, oh, we gotta get David over as a face now. So I come out with Danny, and I'm wearing one of her shirts, and I take it off, and then the match happens, and then after that, like one of the fans like stole the shirt that I took off, and I was like, can I get another one? And she would not give me another one, because she's a real mean girl. Okay, that's not a gimmick. Okay,
Wow.
it's real. She's a real mean girl.
That's that's hardcore. I mean, yeah. Did did she at least offer to give you one if you paid for it?
Yeah, but I'm like, no. Like I offered to trade with her, and she was like, I don't need your shirt. I'm not gonna wear it. So
I'm not gonna wear it.
I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. So I don't even know how to promote her now, except for just to say her name, I guess. Blah.
Well, I mean, all right. So if Danny, when you see this, I'll make sure to tag you in this when we post it. You
You
need to
should do an
get
interview with her and bring this up. is what
I,
you should do.
I actually have an interview coming up with her, so I'm definitely gonna bring this up.
You should definitely bring it up,
That's
and
gonna be
I'm
my
gonna
first
watch it.
question. I'm gonna be like, "Welcome, Danny Jordan. So, why won't you give Ali a shirt?"
You know, if I don't get a shirt after that, I'm gonna be upset. This was really gonna happen.
We'll have to have you back and see the shirt update. Shirt gate. It'll be like one of those weird, like, we'll have like a little media ticker at the bottom. It's been so and so many days since Ali has not received his shirt.
That's gonna be the gimmick, and we'll just keep having matches across the states where if I win, I get my shirt,
Right.
and just something happens every time.
Ooh, a shirt on a pole match.
Shirt on a pull, Sky 5. There it is.
Oh, that's so great. Well, all of your social media, your YouTube, everything else, is there anything you want to plug?
Whole. I'm sorry. I just my dark passenger. I guess I don't know. I felt something from him just now. I don't know. Something tells me he's got a message for you.
Well, I would love to hear it. I'm ready.
I didn't mean to freak you out, but
Indie wrestling may be on its way back, but until you learn to appreciate the future, this will happen over and over again. My mission to save professional wrestling does not end and will not end in Georgia, but it will span all 50 of these states and all over the world. Elevate Pro, do not think that you have gone unscathed by David Ali, because his presence has not been felt there in New Orleans. I'm going to make my return eventually, and I am going to seize what's mine, what will add to the foundation that will change everything. The Elevate Pro Championship.